And see, Megan, so you understand, and so women out there listening, that's something that gay guys don't check for. Like, I know that women look for that to see if a man is taken or whatever, but guys don't think to do that. But also, unfortunately, 99% of gay guys won't care if someone's married or has a boyfriend or whatever. They'll just do whatever they want to do anyway.
In fact, what I've tried to explain to people, it's been my experience through my entire life. I'm attracted to so-called straight guys that aren't necessarily straight anyway. It's kind of like the sport of the hunt, so to speak. The corralling or actually conquering the beast.
In your opinion, do you think that Barack Obama is gay or bisexual, or what's the story?
I have always made this comment that based on the fact that there's reports that he and Michelle actually have had sexual contact with each other, I would have to say that he was bisexual. If you ask me if this was the first time that I think Barack Obama had ever been with another man, I would tell you absolutely not.
And what makes you think that?
Well, first of all, a so-called straight man for his first time doesn't nibble on the back of another man's neck.
That might be awkward.
Yeah, well, see, and these are things that a lot of people think are awkward, but these are things that were very detailed in my descriptions of the events in 2008. I was not trying to be general. I mean, I wanted people to understand I knew exactly what I was talking about. But if you watch him, and since he's actually been in office, if you notice, he always has to be touching the guy that he's standing next to. I don't care if it's a visitor from the gay activist side, or if it's even Jeffrey Immelt, and I just get chills when I see him. But it's almost like every man that is standing next to him, he's always got to have his hand on them. So it's, this is something that people just have to make a decision on their own.
There's a question in the chat room that I wanted to ask you while we're on the topic of the hotel. You had mentioned that you had receipts and, evidence that that this trip happened, and let's see, what else did he say? That there were phone records and the limo driver's name, and the person in the chat room who's a skeptic, his name is TJ, he says that he claims that you had these things. Well, he's an Obama bot, probably.
Yeah, he's not a skeptic if it's... Go ahead.
He claims that you said you had these things and never released the copies. Are the copies of those things in your book?
The confirmation slips from the hotel proving that I was indeed in the area when I said I was were actually sent by the legal department of Choice Hotels International, which is the parent company of Comfort Quality Clarion. I had originally contacted the Choice Privileges Reward Office trying to get copies of the actual award statement showing the stay, showing how many nights, and they sent me a document that they had put together off of their computer system. And they had put this thing together despite their rules saying that they couldn't go back beyond a certain amount of time. The way the document was put together, the dates were not in chronological order, and therefore all of the old bots accused me of putting up Photoshop documents on the website, at which time I contacted Choice Hotels Legal Department and asked them if they could provide a statement that this did in fact come from Choice Privileges, or if they could provide documentation straight from their system. TJ, as people need to understand, this is a Microsoft employee who is a steady stalker for the last 4 years, and I give him credit. He keeps chubbing away.
Oh, so you know him. Interesting.
Oh, not only do I know him, I know that he's on the website posting ridiculous comments and saying that Gloria Allred and Politico, came out with the Herman Cain allegations because they had a source. So, yeah, the guy's a Microsoft employee out of Bellevue, Washington.
Lori, Larry, you're as much of a source as Sharon Bialik is, and apparently Sharon Bialik has quite a checkered history of lots of bankruptcies and lots of these kind of situations happening at work. And the other woman who came forward with Kane allegations to Politico is the woman whose name always escapes me, but her last name starts with a K. And she apparently has a history of accusing people of sexual harassment. Go ahead.
You're talking about Kushauer.
Kushauer, right? And she actually tried to extort. It was a government agency that she worked for, and she wanted to get some kind of training at Harvard. So she tried to extort that out of them and said, I'll file a sexual harassment thing unless I get this fellowship thing. So all of these people have checkered pasts, and all these people were the sources for a political story against Herman Cain. So, Larry, you're a source. Why aren't you a source for a political story against Barack Obama?
Okay, well, let me finish answering Megan's question for TJ, because I want to make this point. Because TJ is real good about going out on the Internet with a woman named Sheila Bryant out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, who likes to say that they have facts, who, are the same people who went out and posted that I was a pedophile and photoshopped pictures and this and that. Here's the bottom line. The Chicago Police Department investigating Donald Young's murder, one detective, Robert McVicker, confirmed for me in June of 2008 that the Chicago Police Department did, in fact, obtain my phone records for all 5 phone numbers that I had on cell phones between the period of September 2007 through the time that I had given them the affidavit stating that I had spoken with Donald Young, okay? What he doesn't understand is the records from the hotel, those are actually they're in the book, the entire form, and it's the actual reservation that's in Choice Hotels International system. This is not a document that simply is issued because somebody made a claim for reward points that they didn't get. This is actually the hotel's confirmation of the room being booked.
And we'll be back in just one moment with Larry Sinclair here on HillBuzz and Mrs. Fox Show. Right after the break, stay tuned for more on the Donald Young case. Just a few minutes. Larry Sinclair is actually the author of the book Barack Obama and Larry Sinclair, Cocaine, Sex, Lies, and Murder. And so we talked a little bit about the cocaine and the sex and the lies part of what's going on. In this segment, I want to talk about the murder, Larry, and I want you to tell people about who Donald Young was and how you came to be in contact with Donald Young. In this segment, we're also going to talk about what the Down Low Club at Trinity United Church of Christ is. So could you tell us a little bit about Donald Young, Larry?
Well, Donald Young turns out to have been an elementary school math teacher, as well as the choir director at Trinity United Christian Church in Chicago. Jeremiah Wright's church, also Barack and Michelle Obama's church home for some 20 years. I had originally contacted the Obama campaign in September of 2007, asking that the campaign simply correct Obama's claim that he has not done any drugs of any kind since his high school, then all of a sudden it changed to college days. I had informed the campaign that I knew for a fact that Barack Obama had actually been doing cocaine as recently as November of 1999. I never once mentioned anything about the sexual encounter between myself and Barack Obama to the campaign in September of 2007. It was the first to the middle part of September. I get a call back on a cell phone number that I had left with the campaign. It turns out to be a gentleman identifying himself as being Mr. Young, claiming to be an employee of the Obama campaign. The problem with that was, during the conversation, Mr. Young had asked me why it was I had not bothered to ask that the Obama campaign make a statement regarding the sexual encounter between he and I. And a red flag immediately went up. That's when I knew flat out that this, he may have actually gotten the number from the campaign, but this was not a campaign employee regarding my phone call because I had never mentioned it. In the course of September through early December, I had begun to get a series of calls and text messages from Mr. Young, who eventually identified himself as Donald Young. And he specifically had stated that he was asked by Barack Obama to make contact with me and get as much information from me as possible as to who I had spoken to regarding this story. There had even been one conversation where he was told to tell me that Barack Obama was in discussions with his spiritual advisor or minister as to how to word the statement about correcting the extent of his drug use. Of course, that statement never came. It was towards the last calls and communications with Donald Young that I was told that he was an intimate partner with Barack Obama and had been for several years. And when I say intimate, it was made clear that there was a physical, sexual involvement between the two. Young had given me the warning and told me to watch my back and had said that he wanted to let me know that there was no way, regardless of what he was told to tell me, Obama was not in any way, shape, or form going to make any statements that he was doing drugs in 1999. Towards the end of December, there were no more calls. There were no more text messages.